Well, my name is Michael Ginger. I'm one of the pastors here at Galveston Central Church. I've been serving here since 2014. So I have the privilege of overseeing a lot of the work that happens here for our larger community. UTMB has been around Central since the very beginning. We've always had students that have come and taken interest in what we're doing. But really in 2021, when we had that weird freeze here in Galveston, that's when things really kind of kicked off for us. So our mission was very similar. And that started this budding relationship with UTMB that has turned into Grace Clinic and now our substance use disorder clinic. And so it was perfect whenever Mr. Mullen came our way, that we already had these PT students ready to go to be able to care for his unique needs. Mr. Mullen had an amputation on his leg, and so our nursing students were able to help provide wound care, and then our PT students were able to help not only provide physical therapy, but actually help him acquire a prosthesis that, speaking for him, I think has changed his lives and certainly changed the lives of the folks that have worked alongside him.
Brian and I were connected in about April. St. Vincent's is a pro bono clinic here that we work with at University of Texas Medical Branch, the physical therapy department does. I had just finished up a previous patient. This patient had been discharged and I needed another patient. And I had reached out to Dr. Froney about this, or I'd mentioned it in passing that I was ready for a new patient. And she reached out to me about maybe 4 days later and was like, hey, I met this man at Grace Clinic. He's an amputee. Would you be interested in taking him on as your patient at St. Vincent's, which is a more prolonged physical therapy clinic? And I said yes. I was very excited to work with him and get to know him. It actually wasn't until about 6 weeks later when I finally met Brian. Brian, in the time, he met Dr. Froney and we got connected at Grace Clinic. And before our scheduled appointment, he actually ended up having to go into the hospital for some recurrent infections on his residual limbs for his where his prosthetics were, and he also had some heart issues. So I didn't get to meet Brian until about early May.
My name is Brian Mullen. I'm originally from Bridgewater, New Jersey. It was 9 years ago. I was working in the plants and doing the roofs and stuff, and I broke my toe in the plant, and then being stubborn like guys are, I just, didn't do anything about it, it got swollen, and the steel toe kind of rubbed a hole in the top of it, and that's one reason I found out I was diabetic, because it wouldn't heal. So one thing led to another, and then that started with a toe, then another toe, and then a foot, and then I was in trouble. Well, the first leg I received from Texas Workforce and state of Texas, they started a new program called DARS, where they found that it was more beneficial to the state to make an investment in someone to get them back to work than just sitting home and getting a check every month. So my first leg was a training leg by them, and you're supposed to get it replaced in 2 years, because once your leg stops shrinking, then you have to get a new size socket. Well, the virus hit, and then the flood hit. I lost all my documents, and I had to get all new paperwork. So I've been trying for a new leg. So I've been on my starter leg for 7 years, going on 7 years. And it was just broke all to pieces. And by the time, I ended up in Salvation Army, I was taking one step at a time. I had wounds all over because, it just doesn't fit anymore. And, I was in trouble. So then I decided I'm coming to UTMB. I hear all kinds of great things about Galveston. I went down there. Well, I get here, and then they don't want to let me out. So it was unbelievable care, state-of-the-art equipment, and just the care was just unbelievable. I was with Martha for probably 4 or 5 months getting wound care, because it was pretty serious wounds. And then just one day, this girl called Mallory came upstairs, and she was looking at my foot, and she wanted to see. I'm like, who is this girl? What you want to know? Well, she was in charge of the physical therapy, and she couldn't take over for me until Martha cut me loose and I was wound free. So when that day came, and I went downstairs, I said, why are they doing physical therapy for me? I mean, I don't have a leg. What do I need to do it for? But then one day I came in, and I'm with a walker, and we're hobbling, and we're just going. And I just still couldn't figure out why we're doing that, because I'd be fine just sitting in that wheelchair, because, well, then one day I came in there and there was all four of them were sitting there smiling at me, smiling. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, I think we got a leg. We're going to send you to Houston to get an evaluation. I'm like, what? So from that day on, it just went on and on and on.
That was like probably like a top 3 moment for me at UTMB, like just being able to tell someone like you're getting your life back, you're going to be able to walk. It was absolutely incredible. So after some fittings and some different just going up, and there's a process with getting a prosthetic leg, he walked into clinic one day. It was really cool. He came, it was probably about August when I think it was September. It was right after his birthday when he finally was able to come in, and he is so tall. I was not expecting how tall he was. And he came in and was walking on 2 legs. He's like, why are you guys smiling? And we're like he was walking. It was so cool to see. And I think it's really cool too, to like, I'd worked with him for several months, and to just see him like progress, not only physically, but also like mentally. I could see the load coming off of him because he knew that like he was getting somewhere, was really awesome to be able to see. And I appreciate that I was able to like watch that like growth within someone as well. Brian needed the funds for his limb. We had gotten some funds through grants, or we were securing some funds through grants. But Pastor Mike was like, you know what, I'm just gonna kind of come out, or I'm gonna, present this to community and see what happens.
So Mallory and the entire physical therapy team were incredible at trying to find creative ways to get Brian the prosthetic leg that he so desperately needed. But prostheses are not cheap. And so even the generosity of the folks that provided it, there were still some costs that were going to be associated with that. And it was more than the faculty department funding could sort of cover. And so Mallory and others kind of turned to the church and said, hey, can you help us out with this? And we said, absolutely. And so created a GoFundMe and shared a little bit about what Brian was going through and our relationship with Brian. And I had warned Brian, I said, look, you know how GoFundMe goes. It may be, a couple days, it could be a couple weeks, if we're even able to raise, the multiple thousands of dollars we're going to need for this leg.
He posted on his Facebook page and got the rest of the funds, which was well over $1,000, raised in 37 minutes for Brian's leg. It was actually incredible the way that the community came together to support him.
And I kid you not, it took 37 minutes for us to raise the total funds that we needed for Brian to be able to get this prosthetic. And I think that speaks a lot about the community of Galveston here, but I also think it speaks to the character of Brian, that folks were so eager to empty their wallets to be able to help this guy get back on his feet, quite literally. It was just an exceptional thing to get to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm not in a wheelchair, and I can walk right up, and now they got me this nice chair cane I can sit down whenever I want, so that's a good thing. It changed my whole life, Well, you go from a wheelchair to walking, it's night and day. Like I said, this Galveston, Texas, and UTMB is probably the best doctors in the world. They've made it so I can move on with my life and enjoy some sort of getting back to normal for the rest of my life as I can.
Brian will forever be imprinted on my heart. Being able to work with him, he is such a kind human being, and he works so hard, and I feel so proud to be able to support him and work with him.
And I just like to get back, help out where I can, where maybe go into the rooms with the brand new amputees and explain to them, since it's hard for anybody to explain to anybody, or for them to understand when they don't know, because nobody knows. I know what you're going through. No, you don't. But I do, so at least maybe they can listen to me and I can tell them, hey, look at, the future, it's all good, I know it's the doom and gloom and life is over, so it's not true, so I think I can get back.
This wasn't something that I did by myself. I have a team of other physical therapy students who work with me. There's 3 of them, Raina, Reagan, and Madeline. They have been incredible in helping with everything and doing, anything like that he needs, and they come up with interventions for him as well. So kind of being able to teach the class below me, but I feel incredibly lucky that I got to experience this, and I'm not even out of school yet, and I have this experience, and to be able to see that and just work with Brian, it's really indescribable. I've loved every second of it.
So how did Mallory impact my life? She just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And then whenever I wanted to give up, she says, go 10 more, mister. I'm like, are you sure that's what the book says and not just 5 more, you know? So we impacted my life a lot. Without her, I wouldn't have made it.